guys, welcome to another episode of Bookbites. I'm here with one of my favorite people in the whole world, Miss Allegra, cousin of mine. So say hello to the people.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So we're going to be talking about another book, of course, because this is what we do. And this time we're going to talk about The Road of Lost Innocence by Somaly Mom. So, tell me, how did you know this book? Because this was your recommendation. And we'll go from there.
So, the bad part is I can't remember if it was just a random thing I saw on TV. Because I think I was watching TV, but I was on my phone, as we do.
Okay.
And YouTube. Randomly, a video came up, and it was like all these parts. And it was this documentary about trafficking, child sex trafficking in Cambodia in particular, because it was really talking about how how American tourists, men in particular, go over there, pedophiles for young girls.
Oh, okay.
And
a little scary.
Yeah, and they were catching, like, basically, they were in America, they would roll up on this dentist who's going on about his day, and it's like, is this you on video purchasing a young girl or a young boy? And he's like, oh, no, that's not me. And
clearly it's you.
Yes. And I watched, it was only a part of the documentary, and I had to find the rest because the story they told, I was like, I need to hear more from them and understand what's going on in this other part of the world. And one of the people that was in the documentary was Somaly Mom.
Okay.
And I happened to Google her, and I saw that she had a book.
Okay.
And she briefly talked about her story in the documentary, but I had to learn. Like, watching that documentary, it was no way I could walk away and not want to know her story.
Okay.
Of why she does what she does.
Okay. So we are definitely going to talk about the author, because I know you even got a little bit of tea to drop on the author itself. Yes. So we'll talk about that. But I definitely want to, because this book pretty much covers child sex trafficking, which is a $1 billion industry.
Yes.
And let's not sugarcoat this and say this is just specific to a particular area or country. This is global. And there were so many different parts in this book that just really just grabbed hold of you. So Can you tell me a specific part in this book that was just like heart-wrenching, jaw-dropping, or I gotta do more with just anything? How does this connect to you in your life? Any part in this book that's just like, this is it?
It wasn't so much of the connection. It was more of what this... I couldn't read this book without crying. And it was so weird because I happened to be reading this book like while in school, like during a semester where I had 4 classes, and I had 4 classes back to back, pretty much on 3 days a week. So I pretty much went to campus and stayed there all day to finish my classes, then left. So I was reading in between, and I was in like one of the study rooms, and I was sitting there crying, and I was trying not to cry because, I'm just sitting here.
People looking at you like, what's going on? What's wrong with me?
Exactly.
You need tissue? You need a hug? Okay.
But I was actually taking a women's health class that semester. And, we all had to get up at some point and talk about an influential woman. It was women health. Like some woman, influential woman, and I read this book. To talk about Somaly Mom. But it was really, when it comes to what connects, almost, I don't want to say, seeing the condition of these girls, these women, and how it long stand impacts their psyche.
Yes.
And it starts with Cambodia coming back from a war. And it's just to see essentially the progression of this country and how it has essentially led into the trade of so many young girls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a common thing there where people are okay with it.
Yeah.
The law is okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Because of the money behind it.
Yes.
It's economically okay.
It's a weird part because everyone's okay with it, but they know it's wrong enough to not talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
where's that middle ground?
Mm-hmm. As long as we don't speak about it,
mm-hmm.
it's still going to be okay. But for some reason, it's wrong enough. Yes, absolutely. We cannot say anything about it. What really broke my heart, and you mentioned, the long-term impact of this psychological wise, what happens to these girls' psyche. The author of the book speaks of her own experience, and it just seemed like no matter what, she could never get away. It wasn't until the grace of someone else that she actually got out of this situation. But she spoke of so many girls, and it was just continuously one after another of just being degraded and abused. There's just like, there seemed to be no hope. And so when she speaks of the other women, the other girls, they're not women yet, the other girls who are brutalized, who have completely lost their innocence, and they turn into addicts. Yes. They are clearly depressed. They are clearly suicidal. What does that look like as far as the impact for the entire community? You have a community of girls who think that this is okay and this is a way of life, and it's not. It's clearly not until they get out of that and realize it doesn't have to be that way. But for so many, they have no hope. They have no opportunity whatsoever.
Yes, and not to mention, like, for all of us, our family units
mm-hmm.
are a big foundation of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine your own family selling you into
yes.
the trade.
Mm-hmm.
And then not to mention, when they sell you in and you escape and go back to your family, either they sell you again or they don't want you because you're now seen as dirty
mm-hmm.
because of what they sold you into.
Mm-hmm. Or some of them just having you just so you can make money.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's scary. That's absolutely horrible. That you have no connection. You can't trust anyone. She speaks a lot about trust in this book.
Yes.
There's no trust. And she speaks. She doesn't know her own parents. She kind of had a adoptive family mm-hmm. that she was able to hold on to, but just having that general sense of trusting no one. And how can you walk the world where you trust no one that you talk to? No one. Like, anybody comes your way, you think that they're doing you harm. They want something from you. They want to abuse you, to sell you, to use you. You're not a person. That's very scary. And I think as African Americans, we have a long history of feeling not like a person, but a commodity.
Yes, and that is actually another thing, is not just the girls, the women mm-hmm. in this book, mm-hmm. they were all seen as property.
Mm-hmm.
It's like ingrained in some people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because everyone will agree the lowest form of a criminal is a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
Even in jail is a pedophile.
But pedophiles are very prominent throughout the world because yes. there's a source that's feeding their pedophilia.
They're prominent and they're everywhere to the point of there's a network.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiple networks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And no one really wants to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, she talks about how the people that visit these brothels for these girls are everyday people. Cops,
police, doctors, everything.
And not just families are reselling them back to brothels. Mm-hmm. The police are reselling them mm-hmm. back to brothels. Mm-hmm. And I think that also ties into it because at one point she talks about after she had the foundation and she went to go educate officers and men about what it's like for these girls in these brothels.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about how they didn't know it
mm-hmm.
and how their wives at home didn't even understand the concepts of sex. It was so many of all of these girls that are in these brothels, they've been raped, but they don't know what sex is.
Nope.
Somaly talks about how when the Chinese merchant raped her, she thought she was being stabbed with a knife. It wasn't until she was sold to her husband
that she understands what a real sexual encounter is.
Yes.
A sexual encounter that is accepted.
Yes.
Or by both parties. Like, this is, I'm willing to do this.
Yes, but even with her first husband, it was still rape then. And actually, with a lot of these girls, when it comes to their husband, it is rape in the beginning. There's some girls that have been assaulted, and they know, or even not just raped, or just
they're
assaulted,
uncomfortable,
and they feel it's wrong.
Yes,
but it's a sense of shame around it.
Yes, and not that this should be blamed on the person who did it, and not on you. You should feel no shame for being the victim.
Yes,
no shame whatsoever. That person should have not offended you in a manner. There's no shame in you being a victim. You hit the nail on the head right there.
It's so weird and unfortunate, but the shame of someone else's act when they did wrong helps the silence to keep the problem under wraps.
Yes, and because they don't speak out. And I'm so happy that this author did, of sharing the story and sharing the even the minute details of exactly what happened, because you need to see the full spectrum. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't hold it to one thing, because some people are like, oh, it's not that bad. But when you really get to see the extreme details of what somebody who has been through this system has experienced, you really see the full scale, to empathize with that person, to see that this is a larger issue. It may not have happened to you, but you can definitely empathize when you see, or you're able to read those explicit, gruesome details. Also talk about colorism in this book, because so often we see with a lot of books where the character is of a darker complexion, they talk about their experiences and feeling insignificant and inferior because of their skin tone.
Yes.
So the author goes through this of being considered, because she's a darker Cambodian, that she should be treated this way.
Yeah.
How does this make a connection as an African American female seeing this other female this way?
Honestly, it was a few things. The fact that all of these girls are being sold, and they say the lighter ones go for more. So the darker you are, the less you're worth.
Yes. And even in a situation that is legal or not illegal, but is morally corrupt,
even
still
then,
less than.
You're less than.
Yes.
You want me enough to sell me and to put me in these situations, but you're only worth this.
Yes.
And then even the girls where they're being taken in and they're having the lightening creams being put in their stuff.
Yes, the makeup, so their faces lighter. Absolutely.
More fair.
Yes, more fair. That's scary. That's absolutely horrible. That even in that sense,
the lighter you are, the more you go for.
You tell me what you would love to see going forward with reading this book and similar stories like this. I would like to see more of this. Yes, it's a heavy topic, but also it's one of those things where awareness brings about people who want to make a difference.
Yes. Okay?
Awareness in reading stories like this and understanding this is the actual experience of someone. And this is larger than just these one-off occurrences. This is an everyday thing. Every minute of every hour. What can I do to stop this from happening? Because at the end of the day, these are people that are being hurt. What would you like to see after reading this? What do you think is the impact overall?
When the world knows your dirt,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you and the world sees you for who you are, and they're holding you accountable at a high level, it's like, oh, we can't be portrayed that way. And so it starts to change things.
Okay. Does it change it for the good? And this is another rhetorical question. Does it change it for the good or change the game and how you do it? And that can lead into so many different other questions. The Atlantic slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, did it really stop? Or did they change the game? So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being this is necessary for the culture or for every culture, 1 being like, throw it away, put it on, level the table with it or something, what do you think this book is? What's your rating on it?
I would say, are we just talking about the book?
Just the book. Don't talk about the other, because we know she had. We
just the
book
book is a 10.
10. Okay.
Because it really, this book will touch anybody emotionally. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As long, because at the end of the day, these are people. These are girls.
Yes.
These are young girls that could be, daughters, sisters, or anything.
Okay.
Or me in that. You got to think. This is the life I was born into.
Mm-hmm. This is the life she was born into.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, my rating on this one, I'd give it an 8. Here's why. She did a wonderful job writing this book. It's very impactful. I love it. She took it from the very beginning of her earliest memories of really truly making the audience understand I had no control over this is what I was born into. No control. This is how I felt in these moments. My entire life, this is what is happening. However, the reason why I gave it is 8. It's that ending. It's like, yes, we see what you're doing now and having your nonprofit and what you're doing constantly. But I would have liked to see her connected to it's bigger than just Cambodia. And I think that part was missed. This is not just Cambodia's issue.
Yes.
It's not. It's an issue. And if you only read this, you would think it was just Cambodia. But you have to understand, this is in every country. Yes. It's in everybody's backyard. And I think that was a crucial part that they missed. Yeah, great point. All right, let's get to the food. All right, so we're back with the magical plate that just appeared. So this one is an apple cheesecake crumb. Ooh, with a little bit of crown in it. Done in a cast iron skillet. Ooh, with a dollop of whipped cream. Whole lot of cinnamon. And to finish it off with some caramel. I'm so excited. Are you excited about this?
I am.
Okay, because you are like one of my favorite people, when it comes to food and when it comes to the love of food and being in the kitchen and experimenting and really just making things happen.
This would go good with it.
Right. So this is us creating this dish. It's like, let's do a little bit of this. Let's do a little bit of that. You know what to go good with this? Throw this in there. Yeah. So we can ready to figure out if this is amazing. But what is more amazing is to start this party off right, because it has crown in it, to do a shot of some crown. This is crown apple to go with the apple cheesecake crumb. And my favorite, this is my little shot glass right here. I cannot live without books. You can see. Guess I should have had it with clear liquor, but that's not the point. The point is,
it goes with the occasion.
It goes with the occasion. And I mean, what occasion does liquor not go with? I'm not quite sure. Haven't quite figured that one out. And yours is a South Africa shot glass. Anybody knows me knows I collect shot glasses. This was a gift from a friend. Maybe that friend is watching this episode like, that's me right there. I gave her that one.
I made it possible.
I made it possible. I made it happen. So are you ready? Let's shut it up. Yes. Woo. Mm-hmm. That goes down smooth. All right. Dig in. You let her. Yeah, go ahead. Go for it. And while you're digging in and letting us know how this experience, no, you go ahead. Because you're the guest and I'm the host. I'm the host. So while you're digging in to let me know about this, I'm going to let all of you guys who are watching, thank you again for another fabulous episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you want the recipe, you know how to find it. Subscribe. You can definitely get this recipe. Is it worth giving out the recipe on this apple cheesecake with a little bit of crumb?
The cream cheese make it a little bit creamy. It's almost like an apple crisp, but with a little creamier. And I love a good apple crisp, especially in a cast iron.
I love apples. I love crumb. I love some cheesecake. And I love some crust. And I love caramel. So this is all it in one.
And the fact that, I didn't think about it, but the fact that you used honey with it.
I don't know what I'm doing now.
In other words, you know all that sugar you usually put in it, to instead substitute a little bit of honey instead. I'm not doing, it's not bad to eat this.
I like it.
It's not bad to eat this.
So we have another heavy person on our book bites. So in that matter, I'm going to go fix me a plate for real. And I'll catch you guys next time.